Jai Shri Ram. This is the part 2 of Stri Parva, which is the 11th chapter. Duryodhana was killed and Sanjaya was deprived of his. After Duryodhana was killed, Sanjaya lost his spiritual sight, the Durdarshan, which was conferred on him by Vyasa. Sanjaya told Dhritarashtra, in order to console him, that your sons fought very bravely and they have all attained the higher regions and therefore stop grieving for them. Vidura, Vyasa, Sanjaya, all of them consoled Dhritarashtra, and Dhritarashtra finally he wanted to go to the battlefield to see the bodies of his sons. So Gandhari and all the wives of his sons and Kunti, they all accompanied him. They went to the battlefield. On the way, Dhritarashtra met Kripacharya, Kritavarma, and Ashwadhama. And they informed him how they killed all the Panchalas and the children of Draupadi and the remaining army of Pandavas. And after that they quickly left because Pandavas might catch hold of them. Kripacharya went to his Hastinapura. Kritavarma went to his kingdom, Yadava kingdom. And Ashwadhama went to the ashrama of Vedavyasa. And when Yudhishthira came to know that Dhritarashtra went to the battlefield along with all the ladies, Yudhishthira thought it was his duty to follow him. Accordingly, he also rushed with his brothers, Draupadi, and also Sri Krishna. The ladies of Panchalas also accompanied him. Then when they reached there, Yudhishthira heard. In fact, everyone could see. All the ladies were crying, lamenting, wailing. Bitterly they were. And all of them were saying, "Is this the dharma of Yudhishthira? What kind of Dharmaraja is Yudhishthira? How can you call him Dharmatma? So, how could he kill his own brothers, his own gurus, his own sons, nephews? What for is this kingdom? How can he enjoy?" However, Yudhishthira was hearing all this wailing, but he bowed to Dhritarashtra, and Dhritarashtra embraced Dharmaraj. Then Dhritarashtra wanted to embrace Bhima also. He asked, "Where is Bhima?" Now, in fact, they all returned to the palace, and that is where Dhritarashtra embraced Yudhishthira and asked, "Where is Bhima? I want to embrace him also, all your brothers." But at that point of time, Krishna dragged Bhima away, and there was a huge statue, iron statue of Bhima, which was there in the foyer, in the opening front room. Huge room anyway. So Krishna effortlessly noiselessly pushed it, and he presented that iron statue of Bhima. Dhritarashtra embraced that statue and he crushed it to pieces. It is said that Dhritarashtra had the strength of 10,000 elephants, and he crushed an iron statue. That statue was actually created. Duryodhana got it made because he was hitting that statue with his mace, with his gada, whenever he used to get frustrated. So for catharsis, you see, ventilation. So that was the same statue. And it got crushed, and Dhritarashtra's chest was injured. His muscles were torn because of the great power with which he embraced it. The iron got crushed, and Dhritarashtra himself fell down and he vomited blood. Sanjaya raised him. All the ladies came. and they washed their face. He began to say, at that point he said, Bhima, Bhima, how are you, Bhima? Yeah? As if he was weeping, crying for Bhima. Then Krishna told him, don't worry, you have not killed Bhima. It's only an iron statue. I know what you were thinking. That's why I slowly dragged this Bhima away from you. Your mind is still full of jealousy, wrath, spite, malice, rancorousness, ill will, which you always had. Anyway, killing Bhima is of no use to you. Don't do that. Your sons are not going to be revived. Therefore, you must accept dharma. For all the adharmic activities that they have done, they got. And anyway, they fought bravely and they have gone to the higher regions. Now, please don't indulge in this malicious behavior. Know your duty. You understand what is your duty, at least now. So after this, Dhritarashtra realized his mistake. He felt very remorseful. And he told Krishna, yes, I understand what you say is true. It was because of my misplaced affection towards my sons that made me deviate from the path of dharma. And by your wisdom and good luck, Bhima was saved. Otherwise, I would have committed one more crime. I am now free of anger and all this malice. I will embrace Bhima with real affection. Then he embraced Bhima, Arjuna, and also the Nakula and Sahadeva. Then he went to Gandhari. Krishna, Yudhishthira went to Gandhari and he bowed to Gandhari and was also, Gandhari was very angry about the way in which her sons were killed. And at that moment, Vyasa appeared, who was there only, who came close and then said, told Gandhari, you have earned great spiritual power by being a Pativrata. Now don't waste this by uttering a curse on Pandavas now. Vyasa could guess the state of mind of Gandhari. This is called Ingita Jnanam in Sanskrit. Understanding the state of mind of a person by looking at the facial expressions and the mannerisms. So Vyasa cautioned Gandhari not to imprecate a curse now. In fact, Vyasa reminded her, you see, every day when Duryodhana used to go to the battle, he used to take your blessings and you used to say, Yato dharmat tato daya. Yato dharmat tato jaya. And you were always a very dharmic person. So do not now utter any curses. Then she replied, okay, I don't entertain any evil feelings, no malice, nor do I wish that Pandavas should die. After the death of Duryodhana and all my sons, and the way in which they were killed, especially when Bhima struck my son Duryodhana below the navel, I can't forget that. That excites my anger. And Bhima, who heard these words, replied to her. He told her, Amma, your son was so capable, so powerful, he could not have been killed in a fair battle. And therefore I had to resort to the unfair means of hitting him below the navel. And that is for good reason, because he defeated Dharmaraja unfairly in that gambling game. He acted treacherously towards us. We trusted him. And in the court, in the assembly, he got Draupadi dragged. She was in a single piece of cloth. She was in her period. He showed his left thigh, naked left thigh, to my wife Draupadi. Actually, I should have killed him then and there. However, because of Yudhishthira's order, I refrained. And Gandhari said, you drank the blood of my Dushasan, my son Dushasan. How can you do that? So Bhima replied, no, I didn't drink. How could you imagine that I drank? Even a stranger's blood we can't drink. What about my own brother? He is my own self. I just passed it down to my lips and teeth because I made a vow. I took a vow. When he was dragging her by the hair of Draupadi and he was trying to strip her in anger, I spoke those words and I took a vow that I'll break his arms and I'll drink his blood. I fulfilled that promise as a Kshatriya. As a Kshatriya, I did what I had to do. Oh, mother, do not curse me or attribute any fault to me. You should have checked your sons. You did not check them. They were indulging in all kinds of evil, adharmic activities. And now you are trying to attribute the fault to me. And we were all innocent, honestly. Gandhari had no answer. But Gandhari asked one more question. Why did you kill all my sons? Why did you not spare even one fellow? I would not have been sorry if you had followed the path of dharma in killing them. But why did you kill all of them? Bhima kept quiet. Of course, Bhima already gave her the answer, you see. This is nothing but one-upmanship. One-upmanship. You understand one-upmanship? One-upmanship is the tendency of some people to, somehow get a satisfaction that they have said the final word. Though the final word might be very dumb. Bhima kept quiet. There was no point further indulging in any, because he told her what she deserved to hear. Then she asked, where is Yudhishthira again? And he came. He bowed to her and he was grief stricken. Then Yudhishthira, as usual, you see, was very, very grief stricken, and so he was blaming himself. And he was loudly saying, yeah, I deserve your curses. I am the root of all this universal destruction. Please curse me. I don't care for life or kingdom or wealth. Yudhishthira completely broke down. There was a total meltdown. Having brought about the destruction, death of all my friends, I am a fool, a hater of my own relatives. Gandhari was already seething with anger. And she never replied. She never said anything to Yudhishthira. And her eyes, from within the folds of the cloth that covered her eyes, she took a look at Yudhishthira's toe, big toe, as Yudhishthira moved forward to touch her feet. By that glance of her on Yudhishthira's big toe, the toe got burnt up. Such was the power of Gandhari. Seeing this, Arjuna, Krishna and all became a little restless, and they moved from her at a distance. They moved away. And they pulled Yudhishthira also gently back. Then Gandhari's anger subsided. And then she comforted the Pandavas as if she were their mother. Then all the Pandavas went to Kunti. Kunti cried out very bitterly. She saw the wounds and scars on the bodies of her children. She repeatedly embraced them. She also embraced Draupadi, who was also weeping. Draupadi told Kunti, where are all your grandsons, including Abhimanyu? You could not even see them once. I am deprived of all my children. What is the use of all this kingdom? Both of them went to Gandhari. And Gandhari embraced Draupadi and said, don't cry, oh my daughter. See, I am also as much afflicted with grief as you are. Then all of them proceeded to the battlefield. Standing at one spot which was distant from the battlefield, she could see with her spiritual eye the slaughter of Kurus. Sri Krishna also came. She saw from the distance, as if from a near point, the entire battlefield. She had that, siddhi. She could see jackals, cranes, and crows, and all wild animals who were all gorging on the flesh of the dead warriors. And all the women were weeping. Yudhishthira, Krishna, all of them, they went again. They could even see Rakshasas, Pishachas, all kinds of beings were eating the flesh, gorging on the blood. As soon as these people came, all these fellows, these wild animals, they ran away. Some ladies fainted on seeing this scene. Gandhari pointed to each of the Maharathis and warriors and drawing Krishna's attention. She was showing them, see Krishna, how they have died, how they lived and how they died, how miserable. And when she saw Duryodhana's body, she dropped down like a uprooted tree. She was addressing Krishna. She also pointed out Abhimanyu, the greatest of the Maharathis actually, and how he was killed in an adharmic manner. So she did not criticize only Pandavas, she criticized even Kauravas. She also saw Karna's headless body. Then they all went to Bhishma. They offered their tributes to Bhishma, who was actually waiting for an auspicious hour to breathe his last. She could also see Kripi, the wife of Dronacharya, who was collecting Dronacharya's body for the cremation. So several other ladies, they all came, they were collecting the bodies of their husbands, their sons, all to be, to perform the funeral rites. And after seeing all this, her mind was full of anger. And turning to Krishna, she said, you were indifferent to both Pandavas and Kauravas. You could have prevented this entire slaughter. You were deliberately unconcerned. Oh Krishna, you could have easily prevented this slaughter. But you were deliberately indifferent to this universal destruction. And I have acquired so much Shakti by duly serving my husband. And therefore, I curse you. On the 36th year of this day, of this event, you will, after bringing about the death of your own kinsmen, perish by the same adharmic means within the forest. Horrible means. The ladies of your family, deprived of their sons and relatives and friends, they will also weep and cry just as the ladies of our family, the Bharata family. She cursed Krishna. And Krishna said, there is no one in this world except myself who can wipe out the Yadavas. So, in cursing us, Gandhari, you have only helped me in accomplishing the purpose of my appearance here. And remember that it is because of your fault that this destruction took place. You should have brought up your sons in a dharmic manner. In fact, though Krishna did not mention, but the implied statement is, She should not have tied the strip of cloth to make herself physically blind. She should have, because her husband was blind, it doesn't mean that the wife should become blind. She should have taken extra care to bring up the children dharmically, the right kind of upbringing. She failed because she was more concerned selfishly about trying to prove and get a reputation as pativrata. She ignored the most important function, especially when the husband was incapable of doing it. The wife, the mother of the children, had a greater responsibility which she relinquished. So Krishna implied all this, and he told her, you made the mistake. It was you who brought them up like brats. They committed every possible crime. Duryodhana was evil personified, jealous, arrogant, and you were praising his activities, his wickedness, as if they were good. Duryodhana, was an embodiment of evil, adharma. He was an embodiment of adharma. And he never used to listen to the advice of the elders. All the elders, Bhishma, Drona, and so many rishis were there. And now why are you blaming me for your faults? So stop grieving and own up. Understand. See, it's a question of accountability. So that is what Krishna was saying. And finally, to console her, we said, see, you are a brave woman, and a Kshatriya woman like you brings forth sons to be killed in battle. They fought and died like warriors. So why grieve now, and why are you accusing me for what you have harvested because of your own improper, irresponsible upbringing of your children? So after Krishna said this, Gandhari had nothing to say. She remained silent. So some foolish people say that Krishna died because of Gandhari's curse. They don't read the originals and they talk nonsense. How can anybody curse Jagannatha, Sri Krishna? He tried his best. Did he not try? In fact, he went to the extent of begging Duryodhana to give just five villages. But he was not willing even to that. They stripped Draupadi, and there is a long litany, long list of crimes that they have committed. And actually the lesson in Mahabharata is they should have been killed then and there. Had these Duryodhana and these rascals been killed then and there, even by some extrajudicial methods, it would have still been all right, because he had heaped so much, he was wreaking havoc on them. So many iniquities, wickedness, acts of utter heinous crimes. And because he was not killed, they say, nip the thing in the bud. A stitch in time saves nine. Because the Pandavas made the mistake of pardoning him for whatever reason, so many lakhs, crores of people finally died. Right? So same thing with the terror. Today we have Islamic jihadis all over the world who are killing innocents, ripping up pregnant women, raping and murdering en masse. Unless these fellows are wiped out completely from the face of this earth, future generations will suffer more and more. Our leadership should not, world leadership should understand this much and take appropriate action to completely wipe out all traces of jihadi terror and all those institutions where this is propagated. So CCTVs should be kept in all the madrasas to observe what they are being taught. Otherwise the world will see even more misery. More and more acts will, more and more countries, you see, entire countries are being devastated. And children, more women, more innocent non-combatants are dying and suffering collateral damage. How can you stop this collateral damage? Only when the world leadership resolves to completely uproot every trace of this kind of jihadi terror. Otherwise, the world will continue to suffer. Dhritarashtra then asked Yudhishthira, how many people died? Yudhishthira gave a number which will shock you. How many people died in this universal destruction? 76 crores and 26,000. 1,600,000, 6 millions and 20,000. Okay, 76 crores and 26,000 warriors. And Dhritarashtra asked, where do you think all these people went after death? All these people who died fought gallantly, bravely, and some achieved the regions of Gandharvas, some reached the region of Guhyaka. So many parallel universes are there, okay? And they all reached, some reached Brahmalokam. And some who were killed, while running away and who were actually begging for life also, they will reach the region of Guhyakas. Anyway, so many regions he went on describing. Uttara Kuru. How do you know all this, Yudhishthira? How these people went to all these different regions? Yudhishthira replied that during the Vanavas, Lomasa Rishi gave me knowledge, and I acquired this Siddhi by his Anugraham, and that is why I can see where people go based on how they fought here in the battle. In fact, all of them descended from all the higher regions to enact this entire drama. Because if you remember, Bhudevi went to Vishnu, lamented, and Vishnu said, don't worry, this fellow Duryodhana will be born, he will be a part incarnation of Kali, and he will unburden you. Bhudevi went to Vishnu, she was weeping that she is not able to bear the burden of evil because of all these kings who were leading dissipated lives and committing adharma. So, all of them descended from various regions, all of them went back to the same regions because the drama was over. So, the next thing Dhritarashtra said is, now please arrange for the cremation, and Yudhishthira agreed, and all the arrangements were made for cremating all the dead bodies there. So, Pitrumedha and many other Vedic rituals were performed. Pitrumedha means, Naramedha, Pitrumedha means funeral rites. Some idiots who don't know Sanskrit have translated Naramedha as sacrifice, human sacrifice. You see, ignorance is so dangerous. Half knowledge is very dangerous. So, unfortunately, many great reformers in our country also, who had no knowledge of Sanskrit, let alone Vedic Sanskrit, which is even more tougher, they distorted, misinterpreted. Gomedha is sacrifice of cow, Ashwamedha is sacrifice of a horse, Naramedha as human sacrifice. These idiots, I don't know where they will be rotting. Naramedha means funeral rites. Pitrumedha. Now Pitru means father. You think fathers were killed there now? After the battle, the remaining fathers were killed. These rascals would have written like that. So Pitrumedha, Naramedha, all these rituals were performed, and Vedic Riks and Samaveda was sung by all the Vedic scholars. So finally, they all, after the rituals were performed, they went to Ganga, and there Kunti confessed. She fell down, she was weeping, and then she told her sons that you have killed Karna, who is my first son, true sun god. please perform his rituals. So, hearing these words, the Pandavas were grief stricken, they were dumbfounded, and Yudhishthira said, "Oh mother, how did you conceal this fact? Now we are feeling even more worse, and because we brought about the death of Karna." Yeah. And Yudhishthira said, "The grief I feel because of killing Karna is 100 times greater than that I feel for the death of Abhimanyu and the sons of Draupadi and the destruction of Panchalas and Kurus. Karna's death gives me 100 times more grief." Yeah. And then it is said that Yudhishthira cursed all womanhood to be incapable of concealing secrets, because his mother concealed this, and had she told him, perhaps he would have not even fought. But anyway, if he had not fought, the evil adharma, all these fellows would have actually ruled, and that is worse. In fact, Karna also said the same thing to Krishna. It's good, you are on their side, I know you will win. Otherwise, this fellow will commit more. So, Karna knew very well that he was on the wrong side, but because of the vow that he had given, he swore to Duryodhana that his life, he has completely dedicated his life to Duryodhana's service. And he confessed that because of that vow, he cannot abandon Duryodhana now, because that in his opinion was adharma. See, here also he refused to listen to Krishna, and he went on, he continued on the path of adharma, though the Supreme Lord himself is advising him. So, this is the fate of mankind. Many people don't listen, don't study Bhagavad Gita, they continue doing what they do, and they will end miserably. Their death will be miserable, and suffering, they are heaping suffering on themselves. So, finally, even the Devas were discussing about how Bhudevi was promised that her burden would be reduced, and that is how all these people had to be slaughtered. They killed each other. That is how the stri parva ends. Jai Shri Ram.